This is strange. A rabbi doesn't speak this way. And then there's the practical aspect. I live in a small town in Michigan where there are very few scribes and scholars. What am I doing there? I was sent there by the great tzaddik and sage, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, as thousands of my colleagues are found all over the world. And here is a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos from Rabbi Yossi ben Kisma saying, a person should only dwell in a city of Torah. Very, very strange conversation. So let me give you some insight. Rabbi Yossi avoided this man. Why? Because he knew he was of dubious character. He was not the kind of person he wanted to deal with. The man obviously went bareheaded. Obviously was not one of those who came among the first 10 to the Shachris minyan. Didn't attend the Vosikin minyan. Maybe didn't attend any minyan. And in fact, the man was asking Rabbi Yossi to come to his place, not to teach, not to issue verdicts, just to live there. Why would he want a rabbi to live there amongst them in our place? There are different interpretations about it. My personal take on it is as follows. At the turn of the 20th century, there were many rabbinical posts that were filled by the scholars of Europe. You could not get a rabbinic position unless you were a famous author of a book. In fact, when the Mirror students came to this country after 1945, only those who had published their noveli, now there were many great scholars among them, but they hadn't published their noveli. They didn't take the time, nor did they have the money to publish their works. The ones who had published, they were given the choice jobs of rabbis, because there was a snootiness among some of the Orthodox Kehillas. They wanted only a great scholar. Did they want the great scholar to improve their scholarship and performance of the mitzvahs? Not in your life. There's a very famous letter from the author of the commentary called the Ridvaz on the Talmud Yerushalmi. He was snookered into becoming the chief rabbi of Chicago at the beginning of the 20th century. When he looked into the slaughterhouse and the practices there, he refused to take a salary until they improved the slaughterhouse. And he writes, for 6 months I struggled with them, trying to improve with no avail, trying to prove the slaughtering and the koshering, the kosher processing in the great city of Chicago. And he says, I couldn't do it. And so, to his credit, he left. The city of Chicago wasn't looking for a rabbi to heighten their standards of Torah practices. They wanted somebody to say it's kosher, it's okay. They wanted a snow job. They wanted a rabbi who would make it appear as if this was an okay place. Didn't make a difference if it was or not. As long as you look the part. It is a man with long face and a big beard, great scholar, great man. He lives in our place. Couldn't be too bad. You know, they'd have him parading up and down the street, and you'd think that the restaurants are kosher. Rabbi Yossi understood that very much, and he said, there isn't enough money in the world to get me to be in such a place to allow such a thing to happen. Because you see, I will only live in a place of Torah. When I come to a place, I will make it a place of Torah. I will make a yeshiva. I will build a mikveh and a synagogue. And I will make sure that the slaughterers know what they're doing and make sure that the shechita is kosher. This is the role of the greats of all times. that they weren't afraid of going into places where no one had been before, as long as people allowed that the place should become a Makom Torah, a place of learning. And I wish at this point to express a memorial for my great teacher, the saint and the genius, Rav Chaskel Grubner of blessed memory, who passed on 5 short days ago, on the 14th day of Tammuz, his 91st birthday. And as the sages tell us, that the righteous, the truly righteous, God fills their years. He died the day he was born. That shows a special greatness and nobility of character. And one of the great things of Rav Grubner was, he didn't live in the great cities of the East, of Brooklyn, of Williamsburg, of Borough Park, Lower East Side, or Crown Heights. Didn't live in Miami Beach. Many, many great scholars come. Did not live in Jerusalem or Bnei Brak. He lived in Detroit. He lived in an area where there weren't such great men, in order to establish that the Torah should be fulfilled, that there should be a place of kashrus, a place where people could find kosher food, and could be a place from which other centers would find benefit from. He was a man who made his surroundings in Detroit a place of Torah. And that is the role of every Lubavitcher emissary, the role of every Jew. Wherever you go, no matter where it is in the world, make that place a place of Torah. As the Tzemach Tzedek says, Mach Babrois Eretz Yisrael. Make your place into Israel.